I think so.
What? Hello, welcome back to Still We Persist. My name is Sienna Tamara. I use she and her pronouns, and I'm the Iowa Women of Color Initiative Leadership Liaison.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tamara Lash. I use she and her pronouns, and I'm the Iowa Women of Color Graduate Assistant. Even though we're not in Corvallis and we're not in the studio, we still think it's important that we start off our podcast or webcast with a land acknowledgement. Sienna and I are both up in Portland, and so we'll be recognizing the Native and Indigenous folks to the Portland metro area. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. What we now call Portland, Oregon, and Multnomah County were the traditional homelands of the Multnomah, Kathlamet, Clackamas, Cowlitz bands of Chinook, Tualatin Kalapuya, Molalla, and many other tribes who made their home along the Columbia River. Today, people from these bands have become part of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians, as well as the Chinook Nation and Cowlitz Nation in Washington State. We pay respects to their elders past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together.
Thanks for sharing that.
And I would just like to give a shout out. I don't have my phone on me, but there's this app called Native Land. And so I would encourage everyone to download it and to see like what native land you're on, even if you're back home. And Sienna has it up, and kind of have it be a conversation starter, maybe with your family too. Because a lot of the times at Oregon State, we talk about land acknowledgements, but it's hard or we forget to bring that conversation back to our homes. And so this is an invitation to do so through the app Native Land.
And as you can see, we're not in the Orange Media Network studio. We are both in our respective homes. So as many of you are in your own homes as well, our Wi-Fi might go out, a dog might bark, a roommate might come in, a partner might walk into the room. Things will be unexpected. Things will not be the same, and that's okay. I saw a post today that shared some words from science fiction writer Octavia Butler, and she writes a lot about dystopian novels, and they're a great author. I definitely think that you should pick up a book of theirs one day. But they said that you have to essentially change what you think normal is in order to adapt and change. So I just share that with you all as maybe a way to cope with what's going on right now and a way to think about the future.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing. I think what's coming up for me, and I didn't even know this was going to come up for me, like Sienna and I chatted before I pressed record, but I feel like I'm getting anxious. I don't know why, recording in this new space, whereas before I never really felt anxious or like had my heart beating so fast. But I think it's also, maybe it is tied to the topic around what we're talking about today and self-care and just trying to make sure that we're creating space for ourselves in such a hard time, and trying to like personally reflect on if I've given myself the space to do self-care. But recognizing that things are going to be different. And so even though our like modality of giving people Still We Persist is very different, and we don't have the fancy lights from Andrew or like I just realized we don't have our like fern tablecloth.
Yeah.
We don't have that. We still have the power and the opportunity to come together and share story and to connect both. Like, I'm happy to share space with Sienna and connect with Sienna, and the rest of the folks that we'll have on throughout the term.
And I think something that feels right is that our webcast is called Still We Persist.
Mm.
And so I just want to reiterate that we will still persist through this time. We will always persist through anything that comes our way, and just like keep telling yourself that, because I know that's what I keep telling myself, and I know that that's why we named this podcast the way we named it, because we'll always persist. And so in this episode, Tamara and I are just going to chat a little bit about ways that we're healing and coping during COVID-19, ways that we're struggling with COVID-19, because that's real. And if we don't talk about the struggle, then sometimes it kind of feels like we can't struggle. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we'll see what flows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like, Tamara, like, what have you been doing recently, like with your self-care practices? And, like,
yeah. I mean, I was reflecting on this a little bit before we started, because of course, like, I knew this is what we were going to chat about. And I'm kind of like, oh shit. Like, going back to our episode about burnout and like, how do you know that you're burning out? And I think I was burned out at the start of COVID. And so, like, going back to my personal definition of being burnt out, it's like operating on autopilot. And so I was already doing like that autopilot thing of getting things done. And I allowed myself to like walk into this situation then also on autopilot of, oh, I'm just going to like continue to do my schoolwork, like bust out my portfolio. I'm going to do my work for the Blazers. I'm going to get things done for the center. And I never allowed myself a moment to pause. And I didn't realize that I needed the moment to pause, because I had been operating on autopilot for, I think, a very long time, just because I had so much going on this year. And so what I'm trying to be better about is like allowing myself the space to take care of me in whatever way that looks. And so this morning I'm saying we, like Adriana, my partner, and I had snoozed our alarm like 3 times. And it felt really nice to actually like snooze it and be able to sleep in a little bit and reinvest in my like mental and physical health. I also made myself a smoothie this morning that was really delicious. Like threw some oats and spinach in there, and like, just, I don't know, it felt good to make something so fresh, like to eat a fresh meal. And then like having the sun out has also been very, very helpful. One of my big pushes in my commitment for myself this term, as I shared with the AYA team yesterday or the day before yesterday, whatever that was, is that I want to like make a ritual and a routine for myself, and I want to stick with it, because I'm someone that can do really, really great like the first 2 weeks of a term or the first week of a month or wherever I'm like having a start point, but then I slowly fizzle out of it. And so finding that routine that makes sense for me, I've been reading my cards and like finding a lot of joy in that space. Even when I pulled the death card the first day I got my cards, I pulled the death card. And I was like, it's done. What?
Did you not know what the death card?
No, I was like, I am freaking like dying soon. So I don't know like how people feel about that. So like literally the first day I pulled the death card, and I like freaked out because I was like, oh my God. But just a couple days ago, again, I was like doing the things, and 2 cards just like fell out. And I have like my tarot cards, it's like a daily read. So you're only supposed to pull 1 card, but 2 fell out. And one was a death card, and then the other was, I'm forgetting. But both of them really put this focus on allowing parts of myself to kind of like die off in order for me to grow into where I want to go and who I want to become. That spoke volumes to me, because I think I've been holding on to a lot and potentially like somehow living in the past and the future at the same time, but not being in the present.
Mm.
And so I'm committed and really want to stay in the present moment. And so taking time to like breathe and
Mhm.
have an intentional deep breath whenever I can feel myself getting like elevated and stressed out. Drinking water, like I think people forget how important that is, and also how easy it is to kind of like make yourself feel good again when you just have like a really good, like I love ice cold water, so like a good drink of ice cold water out of a mason jar with your nice like metal straw, like something about that just hits different. The sun's out, I'm like, ooh, let me get in my feels about my water consumption. um but the little things. So, like, finding what's tangible. Because I also see myself getting in like these massive spirals of like, oh my gosh, X, Y, and Z is happening. Nothing's in my control anymore, but kind of grounding myself to what is in my control. Like, I can drink water, I can breathe, I can find intentional time to read,
Mm.
and that's a privilege. And I'm very thankful to have like space in my life to do that. But
Yeah.
that's where I'm at right now.
Oh, you said a lot of really good things that I've also been picking up on, and I'm
Mm.
really happy that you're starting to like take that pause because I think oftentimes for those that don't know Tamara, you're the first one to like answer problems or the first one to be like, how can I help? Usually, and so now like you're doing that for yourself.
Mm.
So I applaud you for helping yourself.
Thank you.
Welcome. um, I also have been taking that pause. I think when I first heard about COVID-19 and quarantine and like everything was getting shut down, it was March 11th. So it was the day before our big event, Woke Fest, that I put a lot of us put a lot of energy into. But that was like my baby. Like Woke Fest was really um, a part of me. And I remember when we got the text, it was like 9:30 from Whitney, and who was our supervisor, and was like, "Hey, we have to cancel Woke Fest because of COVID-19." And I remember I was sitting in my dining room table in my apartment, and I just cried because that's what I knew to do. That was my response, and I just let myself cry. I let myself pout. I let myself feel everything because I think oftentimes I get so wrapped up that I don't let myself feel different emotions because I can't think about that right now. I can't struggle right now because I need to keep focusing on what's next. And when I got the call that it was canceled, I was heartbroken. It was a lot of grief, and but then I picked myself up. I called a friend, and I kind of told myself, I was like, I already had my Woke Fest. Like that photo shoot that we had for the promo leading up to Woke Fest, like that was my Woke Fest. And I'm so grateful for that photo shoot because it was such a beautiful experience, and it was truly ethereal. I think that's the best way to describe it. And so I keep reminding myself that good things have happened, and just because an event is canceled does not mean that your work is not valuable. It does not mean that all the energy you put in it is worthless. Like you can still put that on your resume and say canceled due to COVID-19. Like we're still going to be moving on. Like I kind of like use this like momentum a little bit to kind of keep me going. Um, but I keep like right now I keep reminding myself that like I'm breathing. I'm okay. Like I'm in a safe environment right now. Um, my dog is on my bed. She keeps me calm, and so like those things are really helping me cope with everything right now. And I really want to give a shout out to OSU Group Fitness. They have been doing Zoom workouts. Usually you have to buy the Fit Pass, but since everything is virtually now, they made it free. And so I've been doing different workouts every single day. And it feels so good because I oftentimes, that was a part of my routine that I would leave out because I didn't think it was important. I didn't think I had time for that. And so now, going back to Octavia Butler's words about changing what my normal is, I'm really looking inward and seeing like, what does Sienna Kasky, like, how do I want to grow? And how do I want to be in the future? Because everything that I was doing this year was not healthy. I mean, some things are healthy, but I wasn't feeding myself regularly. I wasn't drinking enough water, and I wasn't taking care of my body. And those are three things that you need to live.
Mhm.
And so I think what COVID-19 has really pushed me to think and has taught me right now is like, I really want to live, and I really want my body to feel the best way that she can feel. Because I think oftentimes my relationship with my body has felt, it can feel really negative due to like past body traumas and um, self-image issues. But now I'm realizing like, this is my body that my soul is encased in right now, and I need to take care of her. And so with that mindset, I'm just really reflective of like my mind health and my physical body health, because that's the only thing I have control over right now. And control is a really hard issue for me because oftentimes I feel like, oh, something's wrong, I need to fix it. I can't fix COVID-19, nor can you. Like, we can't do that right now. And so I think just taking the time to really pause has been helpful, and spending time outside has been nice. I Yesterday my office space was all outside, and that was a beautiful moment that I got to like learn and have meetings outside, and I was the happiest I've ever been. And I love feeling this way right now, and I don't want to let that go. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And I know that every day is not going to be like that. I know that, but I'm going to cherish the moments that I do feel this happy and do feel this like comfortable in my own body. No.
I love that. I love like what you said at the beginning around allowing space for yourselves to feel the emotion that comes up. Because I think that is something, I don't know if I've talked to Still We Persist about it before. I feel like I have, but like I'm so easy and quick to like push down all of the emotions that I'm feeling and just like go, 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 go.
Mhm.
And so like I appreciate and love that you like spoke to the importance of allowing yourself to feel um no matter what those feelings are.
Yeah, I think it's important. And I saw something that the Centro Instagram reposted, and it was talking about toxic positivity. Have you heard
Mm,
about that?
no, but I heard of like I'm gonna go keep talking about that
Mhm.
and then I'll go. Well, like there's this thing of I wonder if it's connected. There's also this piece around like, critical hope
Mhm.
that I really love, and I can't remember like who coined it or whatever, but I think it's probably linked in the same way of you can be hopeful, but you don't want to be like, I think the other type of hope is like hokey pokey hope or something like that. I totally might have made that up. But basically, just being like, I think this notion of toxic positivity, you're like not recognizing maybe like the pain that's there or like the hurt that's there, or whatever's coming up. And you're just trying to, like, you're almost tricking yourself, but not in a good way, that
Mhm.
things are fine. And so, like, how do we remain hopeful but critically, like, paying attention to what's happening around us and maybe the pain and trauma that has happened and continues to happen, but being hopeful for a new future.
And I think you got it. That's exactly what toxic positivity is. And I really like how you brought in like the imagining a new future, because that is like what's keeping me alive right now, is like the imagining future. And something that I keep asking everyone that I've been talking to is like, what have you been dreaming about? And like through that question, people are like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, whatever you want it to be.
Mhm.
um, and so like that imagining a future, or if it's in your dreams, like your sleep dreams, or if that is your mental future, like I don't know. And so I think that's really important to keep in mind right now, is like the imagining a new future, because what I'm seeing right now is a lot of hurt and pain, but I'm also seeing communities come together in helping one another, because that's the type of people that we are. And I think it's hard
Mhm.
right now with Black and Brown folks, where we have a history of separation, um, for separation. And so I'm keeping that in my mind too, especially as majority of my family are essential workers. I don't really like the term essential workers, um, but because it's showing that like we need like I don't know. I think it's just showing the holes in our society,
Mhm.
um, in the mistreatment of people that really help our society run. Um, that was a little tangent that I went off of, but that's been like bothering me a lot during this time. And so I'm
Mhm.
imagining a future where essential workers are praised and loved and paid more,
Mhm.
paid way more. And so
Mhm.
I like how you said imagining new futures. But I
Yeah.
kind of like throw it back at you. What are you imagining right now?
What am I imagining? I am imagining healing. And
Mhm.
I think, like, as I'm trying to create a space for myself to heal during this weird, like, COVID world, I'm hoping other folks are creating space for themselves to heal too in the ways that make sense for them. And so, um, I'm like hoping that people will be able to like step back out into like physical community, feeling more re-energized.
Mhm.
And maybe I think a lot of people were probably burnt out and didn't realize that they were burnt out and that they needed this pause. And I mean, it's not like a happy, like, yay, we're all on spring break or like whatever. And nobody opted into this.
Mhm.
Um, but imagining what it would look like if people maybe like interacted with the idea of like being stuck in our houses and like connected to the people who are closest to us 24/7, as something that we opted into.
Yeah.
Like, what would that mind shift be?
Mhm.
How would we connect with each other on a deeper level, or like the people that are closest to us? What would we read?
Mhm.
What would we do with our time? Um, how would we talk to ourselves? Um,
Mhm.
yeah. So I'm imagining positivity.
Mhm.
I'm imagining like growth, and blooming.
Mm. Mm.
I see like clear waters,
Mm.
um, and maybe like clear and calm waters, at least in my life. Because I think, again, like I'm finally taking the time to pause and I'm finally taking the time to kind of sit through and really consciously think, what do I want? And how do I want to take this time to then kind of set myself up for success for my future?
Yeah. That's
'Cause
beautiful.
yeah, I just am like all in this headspace too of like, I'm graduating. So like, what does that mean? And like, how do I look for a job? And like, I'm doing a resume or whatever, and I need to apply for things. But do people want to hire during COVID?
Yeah. Those are
It's just
real.
like funky.
It is real funky times. Um, I'm like just really soaking in all of your words right now. I've also been having a lot of like water imagery in my physical dreams. And
Mm.
so when you said like calm and clear waters, that's I thought about my own dreams. And so I think I'm going to journal about that later, because I think the water imagery is real, and because it can be like feel like uncharted waters right now.
Mhm.
It can feel like a class 5 river. um,
What
like
is that?
not will float down. And it's like a rafting term.
Oh, like clearly I don't raft. It's like class 5, murky. Like, what does that mean?
Um, but I think right now I'm just happy that I can still connect with you,
Mhm.
and that there's still people in my life that are telling me to Sienna, it's okay. Like I think that's the most common thing that I keep hearing. And I'm so appreciative that everyone is just, at least in our community, is just really giving each other grace right now. And I think if I can offer to like people listening to this is that like things are not normal right now. Like, and it's okay. Take the time that you need, go at the pace that you need, because no one is rushing you right now. And like that just, I don't know. It's hard. Like I think I struggle to find the words to like tell people how to feel right now, because sometimes I don't even know what to feel. And I think that's why the community is so important, because people don't expect you to have the answers right now.
Yeah, like we're in a process. Whatever that process is, I do not know, but we're like in the thick of it right now. And nothing is linear. Like that's what I have to keep telling myself too, because some days I'll have great days. And like at the beginning, I was like, oh my God, I am work from home superstar. Catch me out here, like feeling amazing, doing great. I'm extremely introverted. So I was like, I like the indoors. But as it's getting like more and more into it, and so like I was work from home like for the Blazers for a good chunk of time, like, and then it bled into school and everything happening. And so I felt like I had a little bit of time to get into the rhythm of it, and I felt secure, whatever that meant, and like my work from home practice. And then all of a sudden I felt like I hit a wall where I was just like, I am not like in it. But again, like giving myself grace. And I think having our meeting with the like broader woman and gender center team, and hearing Whitney, our supervisor, talk about how we don't need to be like overproductive because we're working from home, and giving us that grace and allowing us to reframe what our term looks like, and how we connect with each other and how we connect with ourselves. And allowing ourselves to kind of create the path that we want to be on right now is just speaks volumes. Like, oh my gosh, I feel so lucky, because I know that there's people that don't necessarily get to be held in the same way that we get to be held. And so I just feel for folks who may be in that boat and who may feel like you have to overproduce to prove that you're working or XYZ. Just know that me and Sienna say you don't. So if someone's like, but I have to do all the things in order for people to know that I'm doing the work, just send them this video and tell them, Tamara and Sienna said I actually don't have to do that. And we will hold that for you.
We will. And before we let you all go, I want to share something that my mentor shared with me earlier today. Shout out to Charlene Martinez for sharing this with me. It is from Arundhati Roy, and she's a novelist from India, and she shared a really long essay talking about what's happening, how COVID-19 is impacting India, and the very last two little paragraphs really reiterate that imagination that Tamara and I were talking about, and that dreaming. And so I'm going to read it out loud to y'all. Historically, pandemics have forced humans to break with the past and imagine their world anew. This one is no different. It is a portal, a gateway between one world and the next. We can choose to walk through it, dragging the carcasses of our prejudice and hatred, our avarice, our data banks and dead ideas, our dead rivers and smoky skies behind us. Or we can walk through lightly, with little luggage, ready to imagine another world and ready to fight for it. So I just kind of leave you with that. Take some time tonight or whenever you watch this video to journal about the dreams that you're having, the ways that you're imagining a new future, but also really take the time to journal what's making you feel frustrated, what's making you feel sad, and like really let yourself feel those emotions, because being vulnerable and honest with yourself right now, it will be really valuable to your self growth and community growth overall. So that's your homework. Tamara, do you have anything else to add?
Just that I love the I community, and I feel so very lucky to be welcomed into this community 2 years ago, but to really find a home within it. And so literally I go back through the I Instagram and scroll through and look at all of the fabulous women of color that we've got to highlight and work with and be in community with and learn from. And I'm just so thankful for you all, for giving Sienna and I the platform to share our experiences and how we feel, and for loving us in ways that we love you so much.
Yes, big love, big love. I wish I could hug you all right now so much. Okay, we love you all. We'll be back next week.
Bye.